Good evening, guys. Welcome. Who we've got in the chat tonight? We've got Mark, we've got Buddy, we've got Steve, we've got Karen, we've got Milan. Welcome, guys. It is Thursday night. That's an unusual thing, isn't it? So, what are we doing live on a Thursday night? That's a bit unusual, isn't it? Well, we're live tonight for two reasons, actually. So, firstly, today is the actual 108th anniversary of Britannic's sinking. Also, tomorrow I am leaving for vacation, so I will not be home to do a live stream. However, make sure you have notifications turned on for the channel because there may be some on location live streams coming in the next few days. Steve, good things always happen on Thursdays. Mark, great poster. Yeah, you guys like that? What do you think? Max is here. What's up, Max? Yes, it is a puzzle, Steve. I was about to point that out. Actually, I got to give props to my mom for putting this together for me. Yeah, we've got this here. Joining us on the shelf this week, we have Olympic, we have Titanic. Wonder what's right there, or which? Milan, yes. What we got here? Milan, something seems to be missing from that shelf. I can't wrap my head around it, though. I wonder what it could be. Yes, Steve, early artist conception. I was under the impression it was it's based off of some early promotional material from White Star. That's what it looks like to me. Buddy says Britannic, Titanic, Olympic, and every ship that sunk will be missed. Of course, but of course, Olympic did not sink. We got to remember that. So, guys, the shelf is not complete. We have to complete the shelf, and there's only one way to complete the shelf. At last, making her live stream debut. Here it is, guys. My model of Britannic. I'm trying to make this fit on the screen. How about that? Yeah, sorry, I'm terrible at this, I know. Look at that. There we go. There she is. Let's flip her around so you can see the gantry davits on the other side, too. There she is. Britannic in all her glory. Modified Titanic kit. You guys know it took me the better part of 6 months to do this. Buddy says, I hope it does not hit a mine. No, buddy. In the All-American Travels fleet, all of our ships sail successfully. And we now have the best hospital ship ever in our fleet. Mohan, beautiful. Max, beautiful. Excellent day. Thank you all. Aaron, what's up? Welcome. We are finally debuting Britannic on the live stream. And here we go, guys. You know this has been a dream of mine forever. Since I started building models, since I started doing the live stream, or since I started doing this shelf. I'm seeing this for the first time as well, guys. This is my first time seeing it like this. There we have it. The Olympic class in all of its glory right here on the shelf. Finally. Sorry, I just had to kind of admire it for a bit. So let's go ahead and get into what we are going to be doing tonight. Of course, tonight is all about Britannic. It is November 21st, 2024, and we are exactly 108 years to the day of Britannic's sinking. Buddy, I like that. I like that a lot. Here we go. All-American Travel Shipbuilding Company. I like it. So let's see. Here we go. Milan, thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate it. That build would not have been possible without all of Milan's help. He started his conversion before I did, and it was a lot of trial and tribulation because you have to see them in person to truly get all the modifications that were made to that kit. You can't see it a whole lot on camera, but it could take me a good 20 minutes to explain all the modifications. But let's not waste any time. Let's get into what we're here for tonight. Here we are, November 21st, 1916 at 8:10 I don't know how they got that. 8:10:30 a.m. So here we go. Government of Berlandia. I'm sorry if I'm not saying that right. Welcome to the channel. If you're here for the first time, welcome. We normally do this on every Friday, but since it is Britannic's anniversary, we're doing this today on the actual anniversary date. So we've got Britannic here and Patroness of the Mediterranean. And we pretty much know how things are going to kick off, unfortunately, by the way. So here we are. We're looking at the port side. And we know what's about to happen. Just call me Berlandia. Okay, gotcha. Well, welcome. Happy to have you with us. Any second now, Britannic is going to strike a mine. We, of course, are in the Aegean Sea. I wonder why none of the big YouTube channels ever do anything for Britannic or Lusitania. I mean, they all focus on Titanic, which to me, all three ships should have their moment in the sun, on their anniversaries. Titanic, Britannic, and Lusitania. There's the mine. There's the explosion. See it rock the ship. We're going to go up here. Look at the Marconi wires. Pay close attention to that the Marconi wires. Look at that. They snap. And you can see it falling down. So what that is, and of course, all the Olympic class had this exact same setup. You can see the Marconi lines running from both of the masts and then going down here into the wireless room. They are snapped. Does anyone know what the consequence of that is? I got faith in you guys. I know you can remember this. What was one of the results of the Marconi wires being snapped like that? Karen, you're half right. Milan, I think you got it. Britannic could not receive wireless messages as a result. She could still send messages out, but she could not receive them as a result of that. So they're already sending out distress messages. They wasted no time. And unfortunately, they have no idea whether or not their messages are being received. Yeah, here we go. They could send messages but not receive any. Thus, they didn't know if help was arriving or not. Now, of course, we know how this is going to play out, but there's a couple of things worth noting. A few reasons why there was a whole lot less loss of life on Britannic than there was Titanic. The gantry davits, as we're going to see, played a crucial role in evacuating the ship, but also for the people that went into the water were in the Aegean Sea, not the North Atlantic. The water here is a lot warmer than what it would be where Titanic went down in the North Atlantic. Yeah, Steve, there you go. Her transmission aerial was separate, going back to the Marconi wires being snapped. That's correct. So those things, along with the gantry davits, and again, we're going to see that that's going to play into focus or play out here. That had a lot to do with with the minimal loss of life. And you can see the ship here already has a list to port. I wanted to start a timer when we hit the mine, but I forgot. But anyway, Mark, yes, propellers do kill people, unfortunately. So yeah, she's already got a list to starboard, and as we know, that's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. Britannic is going to launch 35 lifeboats in under an hour. And that's a whole lot to do with the gantry davits that are on the ship. Now, conversely, Titanic was only able to launch 18 boats in 2 hours and 20 minutes. And I say 18 and not 20 because if you remember, collapsible A and collapsible B had to be floated off the ship. They were not attached to, they could not attach them to the davits and lower them like normal in time. Steve says she seems stopped, but she was still at full ahead. Yeah, it's just the animation they have here, Steve. It does in some spots look like it's not moving, but it really is. Buddy, did the 30 people drown or get chopped up? Buddy, the 30 people who perished, unfortunately, it was due to their lifeboats colliding with the propeller, the port side propeller. Milan, that's just how the game looks. They didn't make the best effects, but she is meant to be sailing. Correct. And you can see we're already dead. She's already down a good bit, guys. We're looking at F deck is barely above water right now. So you can see she's already going down pretty fast. Part of this is going to be the open portholes. Berlandia, sorry, back from my break. No worries, you're good. We're going to be here for at least another 45, 50 minutes, maybe an hour at the most. But yeah, you guys can see if going back to that starboard side bow, she's already down almost to F deck. She's going down considerably faster than Titanic, despite all of the added safety features. As we're going to get into it, there's some people who say that the open portholes had nothing to do with it. I personally disagree. I think the open portholes are what sunk the ship because of all the forced flooding. We know the ship was moving full speed because Charles Bartlett, he is the captain of the ship, and he is trying to beach the ship. He doesn't want to sink it or have it sunk, I should say. Steve, the forward boilers are being affected. White steam smoke from forward funnels. Now look, in this back section, we can see the port side propeller is moving. The center prop is moving as well, but the starboard side is not. The reason for that is because the steering gear was knocked out in the explosion. Therefore, the rudder is absolutely useless. He can't steer the ship with the rudder. So by just using the port side propeller, he can steer the ship that way towards Kia. Kia was the island off to the right, and that's where he was trying to beach the ship. And you can see they've already started swinging out lifeboats. On the traditional, the Welland davits, you can see on the starboard and the port side, they're swung out. There's a canvas undone right here on that lifeboat that's going to be lowered away by the gantry davit. Milan's got a good comment here. Some of her watertight doors couldn't close because the hull slightly twisted. Correct. Not all the watertight doors could close. That's true. Normally, they should have been closed already as per wartime procedures, but the crew disobeyed that. Correct. And like we were just saying, the portholes were supposed to be closed per the wartime procedures. They had the portholes open to air out the ship and vent it. And here we go. Look at that. F deck is already submerged and E deck is about to go under. So we're what, 10, 15 minutes at the most after the collision, and she is in the same condition that Titanic was in an hour after Titanic hit the berg. As your buddy says, also, if I remember, it was a hot day and the portholes are open on the starboard. Yeah, Milan, the forward cross is almost touching the water. Berlandia, what game is this? It's on Steam. It's called Britannic, Patroness of the Mediterranean. This was put out by Titanic Honor and Glory back in, I believe, 2016. Couple of things to point out about this game. As you can see, it's a bit dated now, not only because of the graphics, but because of other reasons. Look at that. We've got that aftmost portside lifeboat coming down. The green stripe is becoming a belt line. Okay, here we look how close this lifeboat is to that propeller. And is it going to make it? It's touching the water. And this lifeboat makes it. Correct, Steve. Steve says they couldn't see it from over the side. Correct. No, they can't see that propeller is partially surfaced, and it's only going to continue to surface even more and more. So that's one that got away. And look at that. You can see the center prop is actually spinning. Now, also important to remember is Bartlett has not yet given the order to evacuate the ship. These are people who are panicking and they want to get off the ship because, I mean, you can clearly see how bad she's listing already. I mean, who wouldn't be panicking in that situation? And you got to remember, this is less than 4 years after Titanic. It's like Titanic was in April of 1912. This is November of 1916. So roughly 3.5 years after Titanic sunk, you're on the exact same type of ship that Titanic was. So you can understand why people would be terrified. Here's a good side view. You can see slowly, looking at the starboard bow, you see the first red cross is starting to go under, and that is the very bottom of that red cross. That's the portholes for E deck. So she's starting to go a bit quicker already. And mind you, he's still got the ship in motion. You can see we're going to round this corner here. I'm sure we're going to see that the port side propeller is still spinning. Evacuation order has not been given yet. But we are going to start seeing the gantry davits soon. They're going to start unloading lifeboats. In fact, look at that one over there swinging out. Milan, when they'll launch the motor launches, check them out. One of them will immediately get on its way to collect this very first lifeboat. It won't get there during the simulation, but we'll try. I don't remember if I did that. This is actually a recording, Milan. Mark, the Olympic class ships all had a problem on their starboard sides. Well, Olympic didn't. It's just, Titanic struck the iceberg roughly in the same spot that Britannic hit the mine. Now, I think it's safe to say that if you do a little role reversal, I mean, Titanic's going to sink in either situation. We know that. But if Britannic had hit an iceberg with the safety features, the improved safety features that she had over Titanic. Britannic definitely survives that collision. And even if you don't, even if she wouldn't, by some fluke reason, she's got more than enough lifeboats to get everybody off, and with plenty of time to do it. Mark says Olympic had the Hawk on the starboard side. Yeah, but that's also in the aft section where that collision happened, Mark. I'll grab the model. Ouch. I'm almost running over my feet here with the chair. So you got to remember, Olympic hit. It was right around here in this area where Hawk hit the Olympic. So let me catch up with the comments here. Milan, Olympic more like caused problems to other ships. Yeah, I'm sure if she would have hit the iceberg would have sunk, right? Yeah, you don't mess with Olympic. Buddy, I would be scared if I saw this. I was 4 years old. And by the way, did anyone off the coast see the ship sinking? I do not know that for certain, buddy, but I would imagine so. Milan says, yes, there was apparently even a photo made too, but it was lost. That's another thing. With the response time for Britannic, for rescue ships to arrive, was 3 hours at the most. And remember, it was way longer for Titanic because she was so far out in the middle of nowhere. You've got 2 islands right there on either side of Britannic, and I forget the names of the ships, but there were at least 2 ships for sure that was coming up and picking up survivors off of lifeboats. Oh, buddy, the classic swimming pool joke. Okay, you just saw another canvas coming off of one of the lifeboats to the gantry davits, and you can see all the gantry davits, with the exception of the forward starboard one, they all have lifeboats swung out. It looks some of them might even have already started lowering them. And look at it. We're going back and taking a look at the bow. You can see E-deck is now submerged. Buddy, sorry, I had to. It's okay, buddy. Everybody does it. Steve, think about the short amount of time that had passed and lifeboats are actively being lowered. Well, yes, but remember, Bartlett did not give out the order to abandon the ship yet. They're doing this of their own free will. And we're about to see some very horrific consequences to that. Milan, the green stripe really is a boot stripe by this point. Yeah. So here we go. Again, ship is still moving. Bartlett has not given out the order to evacuate yet. And look at that gantry davit. The gantry davit is swinging out a boat. Correct, buddy. Never disobey captain's orders. That's worthy of a highlight right there. Yeah, and the thing is, the captain is essentially God on a ship. I don't care what ship you're on. I don't care what kind of ship it is. That's kind of how it's always been, the law of the sea. But look, we've got a lifeboat coming aft here. And we can see the list is still pretty bad. And I imagine the propellers are being less and less effective by this point because they're surfacing, they're coming out of the water even more and more and more. And here we go. And this one is going to be crushed. There it goes. Now, obviously, the animation does not show people on the ship or in the boat, but yes, there were people in the boat. Buddy, if I built a ship, I would the design of the Titanic's hull, because it is a nice design. Well, from a aesthetic point of view, buddy, the Olympic class has always been my favorite design of ocean liner, always. So yeah, guys, that right there, people sadly did die in that incident right there. Also, and look at this, we're almost up to D deck with the flooding here on the bow. See, right under Britannic, those next set of portholes, that's D deck right there. And we're not quite. Well, yeah, we're probably halfway through the sinking at this point. Remember, she sunk in 55 minutes. And we're almost at 30 minutes. So, yeah, we're roughly halfway through the sinking. And look at the bow of the ship right there. He's got it pointing at the very tip end of Kia. So he's successful in turning the ship, but she's flooding too fast and she's going too slow because of the extra weight from the water and the surfacing of the propellers. There's no way to get the ship there in time. So we've got, now look at this boat here on the gantry davit. It's just kind of sitting there, but you've got one all the way forward up there on the Welland davit, and that is about to hit the water. Steve, let's see. Was the canvas cover supports on her well deck something they added for her wartime duty, or was that as built? I believe that was as built, Steve. I may have to look into that, but I'm pretty sure it was as built. In fact, the forward one would actually be covered up completely at nighttime, and they show that in the game. All right, we've got another lifeboat, guys. So we've got another lifeboat heading straight to the propeller. And this one is going to hit as well. So the 30 lives that were lost in the sinking of Britannic, that was why, guys. It was the result of the lifeboats being destroyed by the propeller. Now look at the propeller right now. Look at it; it's slowing down. And Bartlett is finally informed that people are evacuating the ship, despite him not giving the order, and he orders the engines stopped. Unfortunately, it's too little, too late for those lifeboats. Excuse me. Now, there's a certain nurse that we've all heard of. We know her name very well. Violet Jessup. Yeah, so Milan's got I'll get into Violet in a second. Milan's got a good one here. At this point, the sinking slows down. Remember how fast it was at the beginning, but now it slows down due to Bartlett stopping the engines. Yes, because you don't have the forced flooding from the movement of the ship. So yeah, it is going to slow it down, the rate of the flooding. But Violet Jessup, guys, we all know the name. She was on the Hawk. on the Olympic when Olympic collided with the Hawk. She survived Titanic. She will survive Britannic. From what I have read, Violet was actually on one of the boats that got destroyed by the propeller. She jumped off in time, and I do not know if it was the first boat or the second boat, but she got off of the boat in time and avoided it, and she was picked up out of the water. Yep, Steve. So close and yet so far from land. Absolutely, Steve. It's like she's right there. That's the agonizing part, is she's right there. And people may not agree with me, but I have long been of the opinion that if the portholes had been flooded, or excuse me, if the portholes had been closed like they were supposed to per regulation, I think he would have succeeded in beaching the ship. Just my opinion. Yep, Milan. Thank you for reminding me about that, Milan. Don't forget Arthur John Priest, too. The stoker who survived all 3 Olympic class accidents and several other sinkings, too. Yeah, he did survive Titanic. Let's see. He had to retire early because no one was willing to board a ship with him. Kind of makes you wonder if anyone felt the same way about Violet, because remember, Violet went on, despite being on Titanic, despite being on Britannic, Violet did not retire and never go back to sea. She went back to sea for a number of years before she finally retired. Buddy Glass, she survived. Jesus saved her. And by the way, if the Britannic did not sink, I would see it today if it is not scrapped like Olympic. My opinion on that, buddy, is if Britannic would have survived the war like Olympic did, I believe she would have been scrapped as well. The reason I say that is because Olympic and Mauritania were scrapped during the Great Depression. The scrapping of the ships provided work and jobs, to what is it, Jarrow or Rosyth, whichever one they were scrapped in. It provided essentially jobs to the people who were the company that was paid to scrap her. So they were going to take any type of job any way they could. So just based on that, I believe Britannic would have probably been scrapped as well. Okay, let's see. Steve, yes, Steve, good one. Let's see. See, I can understand why Bartlett was trying so hard to beach her. Correct. Now the propeller, all the propellers are stopped. The evacuation is full on. Yep, here we go. Yep, you're right, Milan. Britannic would have been scrapped too if it survived the war. Sadly, yeah, I agree with that. Aaron, yeah, the nurse was awesome. Mark says she only worked on White Star ships, referring to Violet. Do we know that for certain? Max wants to know, what year did Violet Jessup die? Violet died in 1971, which would be 5 years before Jacques Cousteau discovered Britannic's wreck. So unfortunately, she did not live to see Britannic or Titanic's wrecks discovered. Aaron, yeah, the stories she could tell, right? Milan, the problem in Priest's case is that sailors are a rather superstitious bunch, so his colleagues definitely weren't happy when he boarded any ship. Let's see. Let's see what Steve's got here. After 3 sinkings incidents, you would think some people would have considered Jessup and Priest as Jonas. According to Milan, definitely Jonas, but for as far as I know, it never happened with Violet. And here we go. We're launching one of the motorboats here. The first motorboat to launch is right here on the port side. I need a quick drink, guys. Give me 1 second. Milan, no, 1971 is 14 years before the Titanic wreck discovery. Ballard found it in 85. Yeah, no, Milan. What I was saying, Max asked the question: When did Violet Jessup die? She died in 71. Jacques Cousteau found Britannic in 75. It was 75 or 76. And yeah, of course, Ballard found it in Titanic in 85, September 1st, 1985. What I was trying to say, and maybe I didn't say it correctly, was that Violet essentially, she died before either wreck was ever found. So apologies if I did not say that correctly. Somebody expanded the swimming pool. The swimming pool is pretty large by this point. Now look how many boats are already in the water. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. And here we go. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 boats. And we're not even 40 minutes into the sinking. Remember, it took Titanic that long to launch 18 boats. Oh, no, don't worry. No, Milan, you're good. Don't worry about it. So, and that's the thing with, this is a testament to the Gantry-David system. And I know we were talking about that on Discord this morning. You know, some people don't really care for them. They're kind of an eyesore, but you can't argue the effectiveness. Now, I've always been of the opinion that, in theory, Titanic could have launched more boats than she did had the evacuation order been given sooner than it was. We'll never know, obviously, but I think it would have been a possibility. If she, and that of course means she would have had to physically have more boats, which she did not. Oh, this is a good one. I got two of them here. Okay, Buddy asks, one question, was anyone still on board the ship or did everyone survive besides the 30? There were no other deaths, Buddy, aside from the 30 that were destroyed with the lifeboats. Steve, let's see. Cousteau did bring along Britannic survivor Sheila Macbeth Mitchell to the wreck in 1976. That is true, Steve. Thank you for reminding me of that. Milan's got a good one. Everyone survived besides that 30. Captain Bartlett stayed on the ship until he could walk off the water from the bridge, then swam to a boat. And we are going to see that. Here, look how bad she is now, guys. Look at this. D-deck on the bow is now under. Pretty soon, the water is going to start spilling over the forward well deck. It's not going to be... She's probably got about 15 minutes of life left at this point. Because when she starts going, she really starts going. You look in the back, you can see another one of the gantry davits unloading lifeboats. Steve says they filmed Sheila Macbeth going to the Britannic. Steve, could you find that and post that in the Discord if you don't mind? I know I've seen it, but I really can't remember the last time I've seen it. It must have been years and years ago because, I mean, of course, no one ever really, sadly, pays as much attention to Britannic as they do Titanic, which goes back to something I was thinking of earlier. I wish some of the larger channels would do something for Britannic instead of, you know, just small-time little YouTube channel like me, you know? I would love to be able to have a really nice animation of the sinking that looks a lot better than this, but unfortunately, I don't have thousands of dollars to pay somebody to do that. Oh yes, Aaron. Britannic is looking grim at this point, and this is what Bartlett would have been looking at right there on the bridge, just watching his ship go down, and essentially nothing he can do about it. But he's not going to give up quite yet. which I love the fact that he wanted to save the ship so bad, but his efforts only ended up forcing the ship to sink even faster than it otherwise would have. So here we go. The other motorboat is on the gantry davit, and it's about to be lowered. And here we go. It's going to be swung out. But yeah, I got 35 lifeboats launched. I mean, that's incredible. I think Milan and I were talking about this on Discord, I think this morning. I made the comment that even Olympic, after her upgrades from the 1913 refit and all the extra lifeboats that were put on the ship, if both of them were sinking, I'm going to take my chances on Britannic. Now look at this. The port side propeller is starting to spin up again. Now, in Bartlett's estimation, the sinking has slowed down significantly, which it did because he stopped the ship. You don't have the force flooding anymore. But guess what? You're starting the engines back up, and look, the center prop is starting to spin back up. You're going to start moving the ship again. What do you think is going to happen? The force flooding is going to start all over again. And yeah, she's listing bad right now. Okay, Steve posted the link to that video in the Discord. Thank you, Steve. Would you post that in the ship's channel on Discord too, Steve, if you don't mind? Buddy says it's going to sink. I mean, it's going to sink fast. Yeah. Well, and remember, Britannic went down in 55 minutes, whereas Titanic went down in 2 hours and 20 minutes. And that just shows you how bad, how much worse the damage to Britannic was than it was to Titanic, despite all of the safety improvements that Britannic had over Titanic. Let's see. Karen has a question. How long did they keep lowering the boats before they stopped, or did they get them all offloaded? So essentially, the evacuation is mostly complete at this point. So you've got a whole lot of extra lifeboats that they're not going to use that are going to go down with the ship. Yeah, thank you, Mark, for the correction. I said 2 hours and 20 minutes. It took Titanic 2 hours and 40 minutes to sink. So thank you, Mark, for the correction. So yeah, the evacuation is mostly done. And another thing that attributed to the minimal loss of life, Britannic only has crew on the ship at this point in her voyage. She was on her way to pick up patients. There were no patients on the ship at the time of the sinking. So that was another thing that attributed to helping keep the casualty number down. But you can see they're still lowering here, but it's not much longer than this. You can see the starboard aftmost gantry is lowering another boat, but we're just about done with the evacuation at this point. We can see the well deck is starting to flood, which once the well deck is submerged, she's going to start going down really fast. So we're about probably 35, 40 minutes in. Here's another view from the bridge. This is what Bartlett is looking at. Now, also, I mentioned earlier that this Patroness of the Mediterranean is a bit dated now, and here's why. One of the reasons, you see the red G618? It is widely believed now that that plaque, the G618, was black and not red. And I did do that in black on my model to reflect that. Eerie feeling, yes. Kids Wonder Stories. Why is it sinking like Lusitania, kind of? Because Lusitania took the torpedo kind of in the same, not the exact same spot where Britannic hit the mine, but in this roughly in the same area. That's why they kind of sink in the same way. Of course, as we know, Lusitania went down a whole lot faster than Britannic did. But that's essentially the gist of it. And you could see the ship is still turning at this point. He's got the engine started back up, and he is once again trying to beach the ship to save the ship. But you can see the well deck is starting to go under. Let's see. Steve, in a black and white photo, red does show up as deep black, so it makes it hard to define. Correct. But it's widely believed now that the plaque was black. I mean, we'll never know, unfortunately, for sure, but that's what I believe they're going with now. Another thing that they've done now, if you look at Honor and Glory did a video last year. It was like the last 14 minutes of Britannic's life, something like that. When Bartlett issues the evacuation order, according to this game, it's with two really long toots of the forwardmost whistle. Well, in the updated Honor and Glory video, they say the whistle was tooted 5 times, and that was the order to abandon ship. Let's see. Kids Wonder Stories. It might be me, but didn't all Olympic class ships have RMS or HMS next to their name? So there were 3 ships in the class, and Olympic and Titanic, once they received their contracts to carry the British Royal Mail, they were given the designation of RMS, which stood for Royal Mail Ship. Britannic never served as a passenger liner, only as a hospital ship. So she had HMHS, which stood for His Majesty's Hospital Ship. Buddy, she's sinking. Abandon ship now and start bucketing. Aaron says red does not show up on film. Milan's got a good one here. Ships have a tendency to roll towards the side where they receive the damage. Titanic is an exception. She stayed mostly on an even keel because of all the coal moved to the port side due to fire. Correct. And remember, throughout most of the voyage, because of them transferring the coal, Titanic had that 3-degree list to port throughout most of the sinking as well. I mean, not the sinking, most of the voyage. And again, guys, this is what Bartlett's looking at right here. You can see the well deck is going under now. And it's not going to be long from now where we're going to see the engine shut down for the final time because he just has to accept that it's over. Buddy, I wonder how the Olympic class liners stay balanced. Buoyancy. I'm not a real good engineering person, so I can't really explain it to you. But I mean, all ships require buoyancy to stay even, and they're just designed in a way that they keep their buoyancy unless something like this happens. So yeah, you can see all these boats. And Steve, and trim. Okay, yeah, thank you, Steve. And you can see the gantry davits are not moving anymore. No more lifeboats are being launched. Kids wonder story. Do you think they should have let Smith retire and let Bartlett on the Titanic? Bet he would have turned starboard way faster and would have arrived in New York, unlike Smith, who didn't pick it up. Captain Smith was the most seasoned officer or captain that White Star had at the time. He never had an incident in his life in a very, very long career of successful ship navigation to and from America and back. Also, remember, Captain Smith also commanded Olympic on her maiden voyage, and he made it there and back with no issues. Titanic, it was just a series of unfortunate events that led to the Titanic disaster happening. Let's see, Milan. Also, by the work of coal trimmers, people who keep the coal even in the bunkers, so there's no more weight in one side than the other. Right. And again, that goes back to what we were just saying. When they transferred all the coal from the starboard side to the port side on Titanic, Titanic had that 3-degree list for most of the journey. And you can see the propellers are mostly out of the water. I don't even know, and it's hard to tell in the animation, if the ship is even still moving at this point, or if the propellers are essentially just chopping up the water. I mean, it almost looks to me like she's not even moving anymore. Need another drink, guys. Bear with me for a sec. Okay. Kids Wonder Stories. Favorite ocean liner. It depends. Some days Titanic is my favorite. Some days Olympic is my favorite. Ultimately, just depends on what kind of mood I'm in, really. As Steve says, she's almost stopped here. Yep, and look at the well deck. Buddy, you've posted that several times in the chat now. I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't spam anything, please. Yeah, Steve, keeping her engines up is asinine by this point. Agreed. It's okay. No worries. No, we saw your comments, buddy. Yeah, so I mean, at this point, is there any point in keeping the engines going? I mean, it's at this point she's doomed. And honestly, I think she was doomed before this, but I mean, I can appreciate the fact that he was so desperate to try and save the ship. Why did the officers who let 2 lifeboats down early do that? But no one would have survived if they hadn't lowered. But no one would have died if they hadn't lowered those 2. Well, absolutely. Again, those 2 boats were lowered before Captain Bartlett gave the evacuation order. So they essentially defied the captain's orders, and sadly, and that's unfortunately why that happened. Yeah, Steve, officers were probably not involved in their lower. Probably not. Of course, we won't know for sure, but okay. Look, we're focusing on the main whistles right here. This is the point where Bartlett is giving the order to abandon ship. Like again, according to the game, it's 2 really long toots of the whistle. But in the updated one that Honor and Glory put out last year, they claim it was 5 toots of the whistle. But at this point, this is it. This is the order to abandon ship. Yeah, that's another thing Milan is pointing out. The crew got scared. The ship was sinking fast and didn't know that the propellers were out of the water. And look at it. The port side propeller is about completely out of the water now. Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Abandon the Britannic time. Sadly, yes, it is time. And look at that. Look over there on the starboard side on A deck. A deck is about to go under. Now, Bartlett's standing right there on the bridge just watching this happen. And there's just nothing you can do about it. And look at the starboard side bridge wing is about to go down. Look at that. Look at that. It's touching water. Buddy, too bad we don't have some non-copyright music to play. I know. I wish we did. I really do. But I don't want to get flagged by YouTube, of course. So we have to watch it with no audio. So at this point, Bartlett just walks off of the bridge into the water, and a lifeboat is going to come and pick him up, or he swims to the lifeboat, however you want to word it. Yeah, exactly, Steve. When water hit A deck on Titanic, it was near the end for her. Yeah, and essentially the same here with Britannic. Look how fast she's going now. The whole bridge is under. Like she's going down fast now. What if Britannic never sank? Would it arrive, and would it fulfill its true purpose? Britannic, a tale of what if? Absolutely. Britannic would have been one of the best liners of her day. We know that because Olympic was. So I have full faith that had this tragedy not happened, Britannic would have had a great career as an ocean liner. Yeah, Max, she's going pretty fast now. Yeah, buddy, can I assume that it's too late to save the ship? I think it's safe to assume that, buddy. And there's the cover for the grand staircase going under. Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's that's a pretty safe assumption now. Milan story. If she survives, there goes one of the funnels. That's the third funnel just broke off. And the other funnels are going to go. There goes number 2. Milan says, stories, if she survived, she would have had a similarly successful career as Olympic, but probably would have been scrapped in the 30s too, like Olympic was. Yeah, I agree completely, Milan. But he says, what if Olympic sank? Well, thankfully, we never have to wonder that because Olympic did not sink. Olympic was probably one of the most successful ocean liners, period. She wasn't just the only successful Olympian. She was one of the most successful ocean liners, period. She had a 24-year career at sea. She was a war hero. She only got scrapped because of the Great Depression, and she was like essentially yesterday's model in the 1930s. There's a certain ship that came out or that were coming out at the time Olympic was scrapped that made Olympic and Mauretania old and obsolete ships. 2 names, 2 queens come to mind when I think about that. Steve would have probably shared a great career like Olympic, but by 1935 would have ended due to the Cunard merger if the merger took place. Correct. Yeah, I'm thinking, like I said, newer, better ships were coming out. Well, and there goes the last funnel. when Olympic and Mauritania were scrapped. Max picked up on it. Mark picked up on it. I said 2 queens come to mind, and there we go. Max says 2 great queens. Mark says Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth. Kids, also, is the rumor about the grand staircase on Olympic being green true? Yes, that is in fact true. I believe that was done at some point in the 20s because they were trying to make the ship more into like 1920s fashion. I think, and Steve could correct me if I'm wrong, but that's when they started going to that more Art Deco style that you see on the Queens. And that was the reason for that. Hey, yep, Steve. All Canard Queens, Mauritania, Aquitania, all had long careers. Berengaria, QM, QE, QE2. Excuse me. Milan, too bad we never got to see Oceanic 3 because of the Queens, correct? But we did see another Britannic. This was not the last ship to carry the name Britannic, as we know. Okay. This is a visual cue, guys. Right here. This is where the bow hits the sea floor. Because remember, she's sinking in 400 feet of water. She's 882 feet long. The bow collides with the sea floor. It just happened. I remember I had a visual cue for that since we can't hear the audio, and that was it. Now she's just going to go, instead of going like this, she's going to start going like this. And you can see it happening right now. Yep, Milan nailed it. Britannic's bow probably hit the seabed by this time, yes. But if I was still on Britannic, I would be on the stern and hang on for my life. Well, the good thing, buddy, is you wouldn't have to hang on to the stern in Britannic because she had way more than enough lifeboats to get everybody off. Yeah, if you'd, as long as you waited for when Bartlett gave the order, you would have got off on a lifeboat safely. Steve, very similar to Andrea Doria when her bow hit the ocean floor. Yeah, Milan, no one was on the ship by this point. That is correct. And that's it, guys. She's gone. All right. But we are not finished quite yet. All right. So we've got something else we're going to do before we call it a night, guys. We've got about 10 more minutes or so left of stream time. And I need to log into Discord for a minute. If you guys can bear with me. Milan, visit the wreck. I would consider visiting Britannic. Not a single chance of me ever visiting Titanic. There's no way that would ever happen. And as you guys know, I felt that way long before the whole thing with the Titan sub. That had nothing to do with it. I'm just I'm too chicken to go down the Titanic. Okay, let's see. Let me get to my private messages here. I'm sorry, guys. Bear with me a minute. And I'm going to pull something up here. I hate when YouTube doesn't want to cooperate with me. Bear with me one sec, guys. Eric, welcome to the stream. I left those models behind. It took me a long time and a lot of money to get those models. I'm very very fond of my models right there. Okay, let's see. I'm almost there, guys. Sorry. Just bear with me a little longer. I'm going to have this ready for you in just a minute. Okay, so actually, I'm going to need to do this. Let's see. Back to StreamYards. Let's see. Every time you think something comes together. Mark, I'd like to visit the White Swan Hotel and see Olympics Lounge. Most definitely. That's okay, buddy. No worries. I know you're very active on the YouTube channel. I'm very grateful to you for that. I really do appreciate it. I very much enjoy hanging out with you on the YouTube channel. Oh, goodness. They're killing me with all this nonsense. I guess I should have got this ready beforehand. Here we go. Okay, let's see. Are we finally? Oh, no. YouTube's being a pain in the butt, guys. I'm sorry. So let me move this over here. And I think we finally got it. Here we go. Let me restart this. So what we're looking at here, guys, is Milan. As we know, he is our Simple Planes whiz, and he is responsible for not only the intro you see every week at the beginning of the live stream, because he created Titanic in Simple Planes. He created the Britannic wreck in Simple Planes. Yep, we're going to see the wreck. Kids Wonder Stories, I got to go by. No problem. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'm glad you came hang out with us. Mr. J Gaming 234, all the best ships are underwater or scrapped. It is sadly true. So you can see that looks like a that rectangular piece. That's gotta be one of the funnels, because one of the funnels is flattened on the sea floor in that exact same spot. Excuse me, on the real life wreck. Yep, buddy, 400 feet down. That is correct. And she is laying on her starboard side. Steve, when we said all the best ships are sunk or scrapped, Steve's like, wait, Queen Mary is not sunk or scrapped. I beg your pardon. Mark facts. No, you guys know how much I love the Queen. It's always a tie between the Queen and Mauritania for my favorite canard ship. Oh, so he's even got where the how the bow is broken apart. Let me get this off the screen. But he says, I'm a young filmmaker, but not a full director yet. Well, that's awesome, buddy. I hope you continue with that, and I hope you I wish you great success with it. If that's what you're wanting to do with your life, I wish you all the best, and I hope that's going to work out for you. So yeah, I'm guessing, Milan, we're going to take a gradual basically like a cruise around the wreck. So my question to all of you guys is, would you go to the wreck of the Britannic? And would you go to Titanic? You've already heard my answer. What is your answers? Would you go to either wreck? Steve, I'm trying to remember if Britannic is suffering from internal collapse yet, or is she still fairly supported by her side? I do not know for certain, Steve, but I've always read that Britannic structurally is in a whole lot better shape than Titanic is. She's actually very well preserved, all things considered. Mark says that's one of the mirror subs. Is that true, Milan? Is that what you were trying to make? Is that one of the mirror? Is that one of the mirror subs? Because that's my take on it too, Steve. For Britannic, I would go down in a sub. I would not dive to the wreck. Mark, same thing. I would definitely go to Britannic, not Titanic. Yes, hands down. Max says I would definitely go see Britannic. I think I'll pass on Titanic. Aaron says I would go to space too. So yes, I would. So yeah, I mean that's essentially the same thing. You're in a play. You know, your only oxygen supply is whatever vehicle that you're in. So if you're going to go to space, you might as well go to Titanic. You see that gantry davit's sticking out. All right, are we going back to the surf? This is, by the way, this is also my first time seeing this as well. Milan sent me this a few days ago, but I did not want to watch it until I see it here with you guys. Aaron with a super chat. You are cruising on the 23rd, my birthday and Steve's as well. So this is for that. Enjoy. You're going to need a lot of batteries and memory cards. And dang it, Steve, I am 1 year older. Your fault. Thank you so much, Steve. I really, really appreciate that. Let's go up to full screen here. Thank you so much, my friend. I truly appreciate it. And guys, I got my YouTube payout today, very first one ever, and that is going to the channel as well. That's going to be paying for StreamYard, which is what you see us using here for the stream. So yeah, we're pumping that money back in. As far as the cruise, I mentioned it at the beginning. Make sure you have notifications turned on for the channel because there may be a few live streams on location in the coming days. And of course, when I get back, we're going to have a whole bunch of cruise content for the channel. And that will be like the weekly videos for the next few weeks. Karen says, not Titanic, but I would see Britannic. Buddy with that pool. At least the pool is filled. But yeah, thank you again so much, Aaron. I truly appreciate it. All right, guys. I think that is about going to wrap it up for what we've got this week. Remember, we will not have a History TV tomorrow night, which is, our weekly Friday stream, but there may be an on-location live stream tomorrow. There may be one Saturday. There may be even one in Key West. Make sure you have notifications turned on. That's it, guys, for this week. Again, thank you all so much. I will be on the Discord checking in when I can while I'm on vacation. Until then, as always, you guys know the drill. And in case we don't chat again before then, I wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. And until the next time, drive safely.